Did you vote? Are you gonna vote? Oh, will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? Thank you.
I know it's a meme, but it might not be long until she has to do this because Americans are raising their eyebrows. Most of them are wondering as to how this woman has been the vice president of our country for the last 3.5 years. I mean, seriously, especially when you consider her constant word salads that she continues to serve to this day.
She became famous for her odd word salads.
We all watched the television coverage of just yesterday. That's on top of everything else that we know and don't know yet, based on what we've just been able to see. And because we've seen it or not doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but just limited to what we have seen. For us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know?
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
She reminds me of those 500-word essays that we had to do in school. You know, the ones where you just kind of run out of words at the end, so you just kind of like say whatever just to meet the word count. This display from the VP has led many to believe that she's just a robot. Not literally, of course, but you could just kind of consider her as a vessel. She doesn't have any original ideas of her own, but she can memorize key talking points. Now, of course, she typically regurgitates these key talking points at all the wrong points in time, but she still memorizes them. This is why you hear most of what she said in the debate against Donald Trump being repeated all over social media. This is because Kamala is equipped with a limited word set. And guys, before we get started, just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you for hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Let's get started.
So, Georgia, it is so good to be back. So it is so good to be back in Michigan. And I am very clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. So listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. The path to the White House goes through Wisconsin. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. 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 Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who scammed consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say. So hear me, Detroit, when I say. So hear me when I say. I know Donald Trump's type. 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 And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? Are we ready to fight for it? And are we willing to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? When we fight, when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, and when we fight, and when we fight, we win! God bless you!
And many wonder why she's not giving out interviews left and right with the presidential election just within reach. This is the reason for that. It is also why they're hiring people like Oprah Winfrey to go ahead and coddle her in the interview. Now, I'm not really sure if you can call this an interview because she kept getting these softball questions, but the level of desperation is proven because they're begging Oprah Winfrey to come in and kind of bail her out. What's bad for her campaign is that she strikes out with the majority of questions that people want answers to.
Madam Vice President, we are, like many, many young Americans, just experiencing a very high cost of living. We ended up giving up our apartment, moving in with our parents who were so gracious to take us in for over a year so that we could save money and ultimately buy a home, because that's what we thought the American dream was, to get married and buy a home and have a baby. And now here we are, and our mortgage is incredibly higher than what we thought it would be. And My sister and our brother-in-law are living with us right now so that they can hopefully one day do the same. And while it's beneficial for us because they help us pay off some of our mortgage, it's also beneficial for them because they can save on cheaper rent. But we really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries. So that's why I'm taking on, for example, price gouging, which is when, most companies and corporations are good, but for those bad ones, they take advantage of people, especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and there needs to be accountability and consequence for that. So I'm going to be taking on price gouging.
And I just want to kind of remind you guys the question. It was, what is your plan to help lower the cost of living? Do any of you guys believe that she answered it at all within this word salad somewhere, somehow? Because she goes on and on talking about her mom, how her mom saved up money to buy their home, and how she grew up on top of a child care center. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And it leaves voters with their mouths wide open, like asking themselves, what the heck is she talking about? And it's got so bad that Oprah Winfrey literally had to cut her off just to get her back on track. Hey, come on. Come on back here. Oh my God. It's like Joe Biden freezing up on stage and Obama guiding him down. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a part of this clip first because we really need to start with the question.
When you become president, what would be your specific steps? Yeah, of course. What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. My background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. Okay. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people.
Now she goes on for like a 3-minute discussion of how Donald Trump is at fault for what's happening at the border. I don't even understand how that's even remotely possible. I could play you the video, but it's just so strangely distant from the question that it's not even worth your time. She went so freaking off topic that this is what Oprah had to do.
Is it about you or is it about the people?
Right.
Is it about running on problems or fixing problems? My work and my career has always been about saying, let's fix problems. Let's address the needs because we know it's within our capacity to do that.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely. And when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
You remember how Dana Bash gave Kamala Harris multiple choice questions during the interview? This beats that by a mile because Oprah Winfrey, she heard enough and she literally just had to step in. It's not a philosophical query, Kamala. Just answer the freaking question. And notice the difference in how she's treated. She's being guided as she speaks because she goes off on these weird tangents. I think she forgets where she is half the time, honestly. It's like she's focused on sounding smart when in reality, she's just making herself look more and more like a fool. And that guy was standing up for more than like 3 minutes straight. Do any of you guys think that his question was answered? It's also ironic to have everyday Americans asking these 2 questions about the cost of living and the border when they aren't even affected by it at all. Oprah's a billionaire. Kamala Harris wants to keep the borders open. These are not secrets to many of us. I read a book a long time ago and it basically said something that was really powerful and profound to me. And it said something along the lines of, look at your 5 closest friends, and typically your income is an average of your 5 closest friends. Now, with that being said, I was kind of like thinking, okay, well, how do I find people who made way more than me so I could increase my my chances of having a higher income. I mean, it only made sense, right? For less than a cup of coffee a day, for less than $1 a day, join a powerful network of people who are ready to change their lives for the better. And I will be putting a limit on this group, so get in while you can. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now.
The devil's bargain. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, I want you to ignore most of the commentary you've heard from the pundit class on the debate last night. As usual, the talking heads misread the concerns of millions of Americans watching at home. Tonight, I'm going to give you the key takeaways from the debate. First, ABC's moderators were essentially acting as Kamala Harris's debate coaches. Time and again, they served up softballs with zero follow-ups.
Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. What would you do to fight climate change?
A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, "We won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote." Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
You're great. Do you agree you're great? Now, this is entirely predictable. Now, remember, a top exec at Disney, whose portfolio includes ABC News, is a longtime pal of Kamala Harris. But another key point, and I think very, very important, is that Vice President Harris showed us last night that she's really not a lot more than a puppet of the failed D.C. establishment. Now, she took weeks to rehearse, during which she said had no adversarial press interviews, and then, with a friendly panel, showed that she can memorize some lines and speak in platitudes. From the start, Harris knew she would not be fact-checked or asked real follow-up questions. But still, even with her absurd ABC running mates helping her, Harris revealed a lot about herself. And the picture was not altogether positive. Regular Americans who don't sit in studios like this, who don't get paid to talk for a living, will not be moved.
She didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist, moderate stance is just a facade.
She's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
All these policies that she's saying she's going to implement on day one of presidency, why does she have to wait until, January 20th to do that?
So yeah, it wasn't just Laura Ingraham or Fox News. Even voters are unconvinced by that ABC debate and Kamala Harris. But what about you guys? Did you feel any sort of sincerity from her during that debate? Drop a yes or no in the comments, guys. And while you're at it, I would totally appreciate a tap on that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way we can keep these videos going and keep growing our community of like-minded people. You guys are the reason why I'm here. So let's keep this thing going. Now we got plenty more on this one, so stay right there, guys. So JD Vance, he said it would be a national scandal if the whistleblower claim is true that ABC News gave Vice President Kamala Harris a leg up in her debate against Donald Trump earlier this month. But more interesting is how the Ohio senator doubled down on his commitment in this upcoming debate with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, hosted by CBS, even if he thinks it won't be a fair showdown. For the vice presidential candidate, it's a matter of going anywhere and talking to everyone. And according to JD Vance, if that means that there's going to be a slightly biased debate, he doesn't care. That's the price of doing business. But let's be real for a second here, guys. There's no need to rely on that unverified affidavit. Anyone with eyes could see that last week's debate was clearly a partisan attempt to sabotage the public discourse. That was supposed to be a 90-minute exchange between the candidates turned into something else, with ABC moderators jumping into the fray and taking an active role as participants. We saw them issue 6 so-called fact checks against former President Donald Trump while allowing Vice President Kamala Harris to repeat debunked hoaxes, such as the lie that the former president was referring to neo-Nazis when he said that there were fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville controversy. I mean, let's not forget the first instance of a presidential debate fact check that happened 12 years ago when CNN's Candy Crowley intervened in the debate between former Governor Mitt Romney and President Barack Obama. Not only did her actions reveal a clear personal bias, but her attempt to correct the Republican nominee also displayed her profound ignorance of the issue at hand. It was simply her opinion, unsolicited and unhelpful. Now it's like we're seeing Crowley 2.0 with Muir and Davis, because in an ideal scenario, a neutral debate forum would offer fact-checking equally to both candidates, not just one. For instance, ABC News could have challenged Kamala Harris on her Charlottesville claim by pointing out that Donald Trump's transcript made it very clear that he was referring only to those who opposed to tearing down historic statues as fine people. But ABC wasn't exactly impartial, as we saw. Like her CNN predecessor, ABC's Lindsay Davis fact-checked Donald Trump on an issue that she herself didn't fully understand. She confirmed that there is no state in the country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born, as if she were speaking from the Democratic platform. Yet, former Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, a Democrat, once described in a radio interview what can happen during a partial birth abortion procedure. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired, and a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So, where's the lie, Davis? It doesn't take a whistleblower to see that ABC had no intention of being an impartial moderator. David Muir, who leads the most liberal news program on traditional television, he consistently leans left. Now, according to Media Research Center, 93% of his stories about Mr. Trump were negative, while 100% of stories about Ms. Harris were positive. Davis is Harris's sorority sister. Senior Disney executive Dana Walden, whose portfolio includes ABC News, is very close friends with the vice president. Even Disney itself, a company that has long moved away from its family-friendly roots and embraced a more progressive agenda of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Disney's recent show, Star Wars: The Acolyte, was canceled last month due to poor reception, with audiences giving it a low 18% score on Rotten Tomatoes, frustrated by what many saw as thinly disguised leftist propaganda. And we may have seen this Disney directive in the debate as well, when the Disney ABC moderators repeatedly cut off the Republican nominee just as he started to gain traction. A lot of times, we saw them changing the topic to something more favorable to the Democratic candidate. It kind of makes you think, instead of muting the candidates' microphones, maybe it's the moderators' microphones that should be muted, with their role limited to keeping time. I read a book a long time ago, and it basically said something that was really powerful and profound to me, and it said something along the lines of, look at your 5 closest friends, and typically your income is an average of your 5 closest friends. Now, with that being said, I was kind of like thinking, okay, well, how do I find people who made way more than me so I could increase my chance of having a higher income? I mean, it only made sense, right? For less than a cup of coffee a day, for less than $1 a day, join a powerful network of people who are ready to change their lives for the better. And I will be putting a limit on this group, so get in while you can. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. I mean, just look at how this crowd in the Shanksville Volunteer Fire Department on September 11th, 9/11, reacted to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris compared to how they reacted to former President Donald Trump when they walk in. They definitely know what's what.
Very much, and we're going to be with you all day. We're going to do a little thing called, see that young man, he's got MAGA. Called Make America Great Again. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it fast. Because what's happening now is unacceptable, I think. Would everybody agree with that? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
How did you like him when he came over? Did he say hello?
He stole his hat.
He stole his hat.
How would you describe that, guys? A lukewarm welcome for the president and the VP compared to a blazing hot interest for Donald Trump that was met with cheers? I mean, the difference was night and day between how they greeted Kamala Harris and Joe Biden compared to Donald Trump. Like the man said, no more third debate. As anybody can plainly see, Donald Trump does not have to prove his vision for America. And many would agree that the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris regime has been a complete disaster. What do you guys think? Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys are liking the information that we're sharing in this update. And we're about halfway through this video, so plenty more where this came from. Stick around, we got a lot to share with you guys right now. So if anybody lost this presidential debate, it wasn't Donald Trump, it was ABC News actually. During the debate, ABC News moderators David Muir and Lindsay Davis made the bold decision to fact check candidates in real time. But surprise, surprise, none of the fact checks were directed at Kamala Harris. Wonder why? All four of the moderators' live corrections were all made against Donald Trump. And some were quite subjective if you paid attention. I mean, you can easily compare this with the strategy of countless other moderators like Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, who choose to trust that voters can check facts on their own. You see, they acknowledge that political campaigns are often full of exaggerations, whether from Republicans or even from Democrats. Trump did get those fact checks, but what about Vice President Kamala Harris and her claims that could have easily warranted a correction? For example, she repeated a widely debunked claim about the racist Charlottesville rally that even Snopes debunked, and her comments on Donald Trump's bloodbath remark and the late-term abortion could have also been addressed. Davis even checked Donald Trump on that, but many say that it was somewhat of a dubious fact check. Commentators like Ann Coulter criticized the debate's fairness, with Coulter's Donald Trump is having to fight all three other people on stage. I've never seen such an unfair debate. She said that the ABC debate was worse than Candy Crowley correcting Romney and then admitting that she was wrong hours after the debate. Now, honestly, guys, it's kind of surprising Republicans even agreed to a debate on ABC in the first place. I mean, for years, Trump-era conservatives have been urging the Republican National Committee to starve legacy news networks of their lucrative access to debates. This movement gained so much traction that RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel led the decision to withdraw from the storied commission on presidential debates. Billionaire tech mogul and one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters, Vivek Ramaswamy, also said something about it in a primary debate last November. He took the opportunity to criticize the traditional debate format. Now, speaking of which, guys, I talked about
over a child live on TV, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm never going to vote for Trump. That's not.
In 2018, she lowered taxes for every single tax bracket. She's been tough on crime, tough on the border. I mean, Remain in Mexico policy, Title 42. She secured the southern border. We had the lowest level of illegal immigration ever seen in this country before.
Trump?
Oh, wait, what'd you say?
Wasn't that Trump?
Oh, wait, did I say Kamal?
You did say Kamala.
I meant to say Trump.
And that's what things are boiling down to, guys. Is the person you're voting for going to make your lives any easier? Now, the biggest difference is that Donald Trump has proven his worth in the White House. Now, on the other hand, Kamala Harris has been more of an afterthought throughout President Joe Biden's term. Matter of fact, a lot of people surveyed didn't even know who she was until about 2 months ago. She's only coming into the limelight because the commander-in-chief has trouble putting together a single sentence. With the election just a few weeks away, her campaign has been tasked to put up a front that would eclipse the achievements of Donald Trump during his term. And of course, they can't do it with facts since the numbers are against them. So instead, they focus on feelings and they try to invoke the emotions of voters across the country. And that's not working for a lot of undecided voters.
If you look at reporting from Reuters and the New York Times, they actually asked a number of undecided voters in key states, how did you view the candidates going in? How did you view them going out? Reuters, in fact, had 60%, I think it was 6 out of 10 voters who said they moved towards Trump afterwards. And when they're asked why, they said, because Kamala Harris was evasive on her answers around the economy. And I think she flubbed a really key opportunity she had in that very first question when she was asked, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And she didn't show a single really ability to connect with voters who are struggling right now in this economy and with the price of goods and groceries and gas. And she missed a real key moment there. So
he spoke facts. She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
What were your thoughts? She made, Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024. But She didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist, moderate stance is just a facade.
I think he just has more of a plan than Kamala Harris. I think he is a little more knowledgeable about the issues and policy.
I'm not saying that Trump is 100% perfect, but I think he's our best chance to get this country